Deep inside the dark arm of the galaxy, a silent alarm opened its red eyes for the first time in 300 years. The alarm was old, forgotten, and covered in dust. But when it lit up, it sent a message through hidden tunnels of data, crossing dead satellites, broken relay towers, and ancient human outposts that no alien empire even knew existed. The message carried only for words. They crossed the line, far away. On a small station orbiting the quiet brown wharf, a lone human officer named Commander Ryland watched the message flash on his screen. He stared at it for a long moment. His heartbeat slowed. His hands went still. He knew what these words meant. Everyone in the old human defense network knew no species was allowed to enter human territory. Not anymore. Not after the old wars. Not after the deep scars. And anyone who made the mistake paid a price that echoed across centuries. Ryland pulled up the map. A glowing mark blinked on the edge of human space near the old border wall humans had built long ago. That wall was invisible, but it was real. It was a promise, a warning, a line the galaxy had learned not to touch. Until today, the intruders were not small scouts. They were not lost traders. The map showed a full alien expedition fleet, 60 warships, heavy cruisers, and large carriers moving fast and without fear. Their engines burned bright, cutting across the void like a challenge. They belonged to the Varkan Dominion, a proud and aggressive alien empire that had grown too bold, too confident, or too foolish. Ryland stood up and whispered into the silent room, "You made a mistake." He sent an encrypted signal through deep space channels that only old human systems could understand. A system woke up, then another, then dozens. Across the hidden edges of human territory, dark stations came alive. Old satellites rotated. Silent weapons powered up. A sleeping network stretched its limbs, remembering its ancient duty. Humanity had once been the most feared species in the galaxy, but after the Great Withdrawal, they vanished from open space, leaving behind only rumors, whispers, and boundaries no one dared to test. Many believed humans were extinct. Others believed they had simply grown tired of war. The truth was different. Humanity had been watching, listening, waiting. And now the galaxy had crossed their line. Meanwhile, the Varkan fleet moved deeper into the Forbidden Sector. On their flagship bridge, High Marshal Vero studied the star charts. His second-in-command, Tarek, approached with a nervous expression. "This territory. Are we sure it is safe?" Tarek asked. Vero laughed. "Human territory? Those creatures destroyed themselves long ago. Their worlds are empty. Their systems dead. We are not entering danger-only abandoned space," another officer added. "Our sensors show no active power, no communication, no fleets." Vero nodded proudly. Then the rumors were true. Humans are gone, but something strange happened as they crossed deeper inside. The stars around them shifted in an unnatural way. Small objects began to appear on the radar, silent shapes, cold and old, drifting without movement. "Tarek," Vero said, "what are those?" "Derelicts," Tarek replied. "Old human ships. Thousands of them." The screen filled with ghostly shadows of warships that once fought in ancient battles, now floating in a graveyard that stretched for light years. The Varkan crew felt a cold shiver pass through them. One officer whispered, "Why are they here?" Untouched. Before anyone could answer, the lights on the flagship flickered. Static filled the bridge. A voice, human, calm, and incredibly clear, cut through every ship in the Varkan fleet. "You have entered forbidden space. Turn back." The bridge fell silent. Officers froze. Fear spread like ice. Vero clenched his fists. "Identify the source." The tech officers tried, but their systems failed. The voice came again, colder this time. "You have made a mistake. You have 80 seconds to retreat." Vero growled, "Humans are extinct." This is a trick, but deep down, even he felt doubt. Every species in the galaxy knew the ancient stories. Humans did not bluff. Humans did not negotiate. Humans did not warn twice. Then something impossible happened. A massive silhouette appeared behind the abandoned warships. At first, it looked like a shadow, a dark shape too large to understand. Then its edges caught the starlight. Metal glimmered. A cold hull stretched farther than any Varkan ship. Its engines opened like glowing blue suns. It was a human dreadnought, and it was awake. Humanity had not died. It had evolved. Back in the station, Commander Ryland watched as the dreadnought systems fully powered up. He whispered to himself, "Let the galaxy remember." The dreadnought locked onto the Varkan fleet. The Varkan bridge trembled. Officers panicked. Their sensors overloaded. Their screens went black. Marshal Vero stared at the massive ship in horror. This is not possible. A final human message echoed through every Varkan ship. You crossed into human space, and now you will learn why no one survives the mistake. The lights inside the dreadnought turned bright white. Everything went silent. The Varkan fleet shuddered as the human dreadnought moved forward, slow but unstoppable. Its hull was enormous, covering the distance between stars like a shadow crossing the void. Every alien ship in the fleet tried to adjust its weapons, raise shields, or retreat, but nothing worked. It was as if the human ship had already decided their fate. High Marshal Vero's hand shook as he barked orders. Prepare all weapons. Fire on that ship. The weapons responded with a low hum, energy charging and lasers aiming at the enormous human vessel. But before a single shot could leave, the dreadnought shields flared like blue fire, absorbing the energy with ease. The Varkan weapons overloaded, sending sparks and explosions across their own hulls. Panic spread. This is impossible, Tarek muttered. No weapon can survive that. The human dreadnought opened its own weapons bays. From hidden compartments, massive cannons emerged, glowing with cold, white energy. They aimed not just at one ship, but at the heart of the fleet. Then, with a single, precise strike, the lead cruiser of the Varkan fleet disintegrated. The crew on every Varkan ship froze. Entire sections of their fleet vanished into a flash of light. Alarms screamed. Bridges shook under the shockwaves. Vero's pride turned into horror. Focus on defense. Target that ship. But it was too late. The human dreadnought moved faster than expected. It split its attack into multiple beams, striking cruisers and carriers with perfect accuracy. Ships exploded, breaking apart in a beautiful but deadly pattern. Even the fastest fighters were caught in the crossfire, shredded by invisible weapons or pulled into the gravity of nearby explosions. On a smaller command ship, Varkan officers scrambled to find a way out, but every route had been blocked. The human fleet long thought extinct was no longer just one ship. From the shadows of abandoned stations and hidden repair yards, more dreadnoughts appeared. Each moved silently, appearing like ghosts that had been waiting centuries to awaken. Vero's mind raced. Retreat. Get out of here. But the communications officer spoke with trembling voice. Sir, sensors show no escape. Every jump route is blocked. They've predicted our every move. Vero clenched his teeth. Then fight. We will not surrender. Even as he spoke, another human dreadnought appeared above their formation, aiming long-range cannons at the carriers. The beam struck with surgical precision. A carrier, the pride of the Varkan Dominion, broke apart in seconds. Pieces of metal floated silently into space, debris catching the faint starlight. From his hidden station, Commander Ryland watched the battle unfold on the holographic map. His face was calm, almost serene. He knew every move the humans had made. Every strike calculated to minimize chaos in human territory. And yet, the result was total destruction for anyone foolish enough to cross the line. The Varkan fleet tried one last desperate maneuver. Fighters swarmed around the dreadnoughts, hoping to damage sensors, engines, anything. But the humans had anticipated this too. Automated defenses activated. Swarms of micro-drones exploded from the hulls of the dreadnoughts, intercepting missiles and fighters alike. Within minutes, dozens of alien ships were gone. Vero realized his empire was crumbling before his eyes. Signal. Surrender. Tell them we surrender. Tarek shook his head. They don't negotiate, sir. They don't take prisoners. We crossed the line. Vero's face turned pale. The truth he had ignored, the stories he had laughed at, were now real. Humanity was back. Humanity was deadly. Humanity had remembered every wrong, every slight, every empire that had underestimated them. Another strike tore through the fleet. Vero's flagship shuddered violently, alarms screaming in every corner. He fell to his knees, gripping the console. Tarek knelt beside him, whispering, "It's over." But even in destruction, the Varkan crew watched the human dreadnoughts pass through the battlefield with precision. Not a single human ship fired more than necessary. Not a single human life was wasted. They were not angry. They were not cruel. They were efficient. From the command station, Ryland activated a long-range transmission to the remaining Varkan ships. His voice echoed in every speaker, calm and cold. "This was your first mistake. You will make no more. Leave human space and do not return. Humanity will watch. Humanity will wait. Cross the line again, and no empire will survive what comes next." A silence fell over the Varkan fleet. No one spoke. No one moved. Then, slowly, the remaining ships disengaged. The dreadnoughts did not pursue. They allowed the aliens to leave alive, but forever changed. Rylan watched the fleet retreat. He turned to the secondary consoles, where new messages were coming in from other human outposts. Humanity was waking up. Across the hidden sectors, systems long thought dead were powering up. The galaxy would soon learn that the humans had returned, stronger than ever, and ready for any threat. As he looked at the holographic display, showing the last of the Varkan ships disappearing into the stars, Rylan whispered, almost to himself, "Let the rest of the galaxy learn what it means to cross the line." The stars were quiet again, but this time, the quiet was not empty. It was alive with waiting. Humanity had returned to claim its place, and the galaxy would never forget the first strike. The galaxy had heard rumors for decades, stories of humans vanished into the depths of space, leaving only ruins and whispers behind. Now, those rumors had turned into reality. Entire star systems watched in silence as the Varkan fleet fled, broken and humiliated. News spread faster than any fleet could move. Humans were awake. In a distant council hall of the Orion League, alien leaders argued loudly. Screens showed fragments of the Varkan fleet's destruction. Holo images of human dreadnoughts moved across the void with perfect precision, firing only when necessary, striking with terrifying efficiency. "This is impossible," shouted Ambassador Luruk, a reptilian diplomat from the Xylar system. "Humans cannot exist anymore. They were gone for centuries." "They were gone from our sight," replied Elder Triven, a gray-skinned alien with 3 eyes. "But they were never gone. Not really, and now they are awake. They have returned on their own terms." Meanwhile, Commander Rylan oversaw the recovery of abandoned human stations. Along the border of human territory, ships that had been drifting for hundreds of years were repaired, powered, and integrated into the fleet. Every system, from ancient defense satellites to hidden outposts, came alive under human control. Rylan walked along the deck of the largest dreadnought, his boots clicking against the cold metal. Engineers moved with silent efficiency, adjusting power cores, monitoring energy flows, and preparing for the next stage. There was no celebration. There was only focus. "They will not stop," said Lieutenant Kira, a young officer beside him. "Every empire, every fleet that hears about what happened will either surrender or try to retaliate." Rylan nodded. "Let them come. Every species has underestimated us. Every species has made the same mistake. And now, the galaxy will remember what happens when humans are crossed." In the Varkan Dominion, survivors of the first strike huddled together, their ships battered and morale shattered. High Marshal Vero's pride had been replaced by fear. Every system he had conquered, every war he had fought, suddenly seemed meaningless. "We underestimated them," Vero admitted, his voice low. "We thought humans were dead. We thought we could take what we wanted. But we were wrong, dead wrong. And now?" Tarek asked, staring at the shattered fleet. "Now," Vero said quietly, "we warn others. We beg others to stay out of their space. But not every empire would listen. Not every species would believe the Varkan tale." Messages flew through the galactic network, warning, pleading, boasting, and sometimes outright ignoring the threat. Across star systems, fleets began scanning human space, searching for weaknesses that did not exist. In response, humans did not rush to fight. They did not attack blindly. They waited in the shadows. They allowed the galaxy to see fragments of their strength, enough to make others cautious, but never revealing everything at once. From hidden stations, automated drones recorded alien movements, collected data, and mapped entire fleets. Humans had learned from history the galaxy had grown bold, arrogant, and careless. Now it would pay attention. On a quiet deck of another human dreadnought, Rylan spoke to his crew. "Every alien species believes humans are extinct. Every species believes they know our weakness. We will show them the truth slowly, carefully. They must understand, not by words, but by consequences." The first few weeks after the Varkan retreat were quiet, but the quiet was deceptive. Across human territory, ships moved, stations powered up, and systems once thought dead roared back to life. It was not a show of strength, it was a preparation. Every sensor, every cannon, every stealth system was being tested and upgraded. Rumors began to spread. Traders spoke in hushed tones about fleets vanishing without warning. Diplomats whispered about unknown ships appearing near border systems, then disappearing before anyone could respond. Every empire began to feel uneasy, an invisible hand moving through the void. reminding them of the humans they had forgotten. And yet, despite the fear, humans did not act recklessly. Ryland knew the galaxy's arrogance could not be destroyed in one strike. The humans would return only when the time was right, when a full message could be delivered. Humanity has returned, and it is unstoppable. In the distance, the stars glimmered silently. To any observer, it was just another section of empty space. But for those who knew the truth, it was a warning. Shadows moved among the stars. Shapes that should not exist appeared without sound. The human fleet had become more than just ships. It was a symbol, a shadow cast over the galaxy, and every species would have to reckon with it. Ryland watched from the command deck, his gaze fixed on the stars. "Let them come," he said softly. "Let them see what happens when humans are ignored. Let them learn what it means to cross the line. This is only the beginning." The galaxy did not know it yet, but every fleet, every empire, every species was now being watched. Every move, every plan, every ambition could be seen, predicted, and countered. Humanity was no longer hidden. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was waiting. And in that waiting, the galaxy would learn fear. Weeks passed since the Varkan fleet had fled, but the galaxy did not rest. Word of humanity's return spread like wildfire. Every empire scrambled to understand what had happened. Fleet commanders gathered in emergency councils. Scientists studied unusual energy signatures, and spies reported sightings of massive ships that seemed to appear out of nowhere. But humans did not rush to war. They moved like shadows, silent and deliberate. Commander Ryland oversaw missions to recover ancient human colonies, stations abandoned for centuries. Each station held weapons, ships, or intelligence long forgotten. As humans reactivated these systems, they rebuilt a network that spanned human territory. No alien empire knew the full extent of what was being restored. On the bridge of the flagship, Lieutenant Kira pointed at a holographic map. "Commander, the Orion League fleets are moving closer to our borders. They are sending scouts into human space." Ryland did not flinch. "Let them. They will learn what it means to enter forbidden space without permission." The first scout ships approached quietly, but leaving human space empty. They were small, fast, and lightly armed, perfect for reconnaissance. But humans had anticipated this. Automated drones, cloaked and silent, shadowed the scouts from kilometers away. Sensors tracked every move. Communications intercepted every signal. By the time the scouts realized they were not alone, it was too late. One by one, the scout ships disappeared. Not a single human was lost. No warnings were sent. Only a single, clear message reached the Orion League. "You are watched. You are not welcome." Panic spread. Fleet commanders ordered retreats. Rumors filled the networks. Some believed humans had developed invisible weapons. Others thought they had mastered faster-than-light ambushes no one had imagined. Fear grew, but understanding did not die in the Varkan Dominion. High Marshal Vero tried to rebuild what remained of his fleet. He had survived the first strike, but the humiliation weighed heavily. "We must ally with others," he said. "We cannot face humanity alone." But not every species trusted one another. Alliances were fragile. Even as fleets gathered, human shadow operations moved faster. Humans struck silently where it mattered most: supply lines, navigation hubs, sensor networks. Every empire learned quickly no attack could succeed unless humans allowed it. Ryland walked through one of the newly activated stations. Engineers worked quietly, repairing systems untouched for centuries. Artificial intelligence networks that had been offline since the Great Withdrawal were now active, predicting enemy movements, calculating strategies, and managing logistics. Humans were no longer just a fleet. They were a network of minds, machines, and power, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Lieutenant Kira approached him. "Commander, some fleets are preparing to send diplomats. They want to negotiate before humanity strikes." Ryland's face remained calm. "Let them come. Negotiation only works when the other side knows they are powerless. They must see what it means to cross the line before we speak." Meanwhile, smaller skirmishes began on the edges of human space. Alien ships, hoping to test defenses, were met with overwhelming precision. Entire fleets vanished before reinforcements could arrive. Humans never fired more than necessary, yet the results were always decisive. One by one, alien species learned the same lesson the Varkans had learned: do not enter human territory. Across the galaxy, fear and awe mixed. Rumors of human dreadnoughts spread, tales of ships appearing from nowhere, striking impossible targets, and disappearing without trace became legend. Scientists tried to explain it. Admirals tried to counter it, but the humans had a plan no one could see, a patience no one could match. Back on the flagship, Ryland looked at a star map dotted with alien fleets. Each dot represented a threat, an empire, or a mistake waiting to happen. His hands rested on the console. "We are shadows now," he said softly. "Shadows that stretch across the galaxy. Every empire that underestimates us will vanish quietly, like ghosts." Kira nodded. "And the galaxy will remember." "Yes," Ryland replied. "They will remember the line. They will remember the cost of arrogance. And when the time comes, they will learn fear." Humans did not celebrate victories. They did not boast. Each strike, each operation, each silent elimination of a threat was calculated, precise, and controlled. The galaxy could see pieces of it, but never the whole. Humanity had become an unseen force, rising from the shadows, shaping the balance of power, without revealing its full strength. As night fell across human space, dreadnoughts floated silently in orbit. The stars were calm, but beneath that calm, the humans were awake, ready, and waiting. They would not strike first unless necessary. But the galaxy now knew that humanity's shadow had returned, and no empire, no fleet, no species could ignore it. The galaxy was learning, slowly but surely, that humanity had returned. And those who thought themselves clever enough to test human space would soon find that shadows hide more than just darkness. They hide the consequences of crossing the line. News of human power spread quickly, faster than any fleet could travel. Alien species whispered in fear, sending urgent messages across systems. Merchants refused to enter human space. Diplomats begged for audiences, but humans did not respond immediately. They let their presence be known only through action, not words. Commander Ryland stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the star charts light up with alien movements. Fleets approached cautiously, scouts moving slowly as if testing the waters. Each movement was recorded, analyzed, and anticipated. Humans had learned patience. They had learned that fear could be stronger than weapons. Lieutenant Kira leaned beside him. "They are watching, Commander. Every fleet, every species. They know we are awake now." Ryland nodded. "Good. Let them fear us. Let them understand what it means to cross the line. Every mistake will be remembered." In the Orion League, fleet commanders struggled to keep control. They had heard the stories, the fleets that vanished, the stations destroyed without warning, the dreadnoughts appearing from nowhere. Even now, they could not believe it was true. Some thought it was a trap. Others argued it was only a few isolated ships. But no one could explain the reports of hundreds of human ships reactivated across hidden sectors. In the Varkan Dominion, High Marshal Vero met with allied commanders. "We cannot face them alone," he said, voice strained. "We need every fleet, every ally. We must prepare or be destroyed." Tarek shook his head. "Even together, we cannot match them. Humans do not fight like us. They strike with precision, with patience. They vanish and strike again. It is not just strength. It is intelligence, strategy, and history we cannot match." Meanwhile, humans continued their silent expansion. Hidden fleets moved along ancient trade routes, collecting intelligence, repairing abandoned stations, and preparing for the future. Every system near human territory became monitored, secured, and mapped. Humans did not take planets unnecessarily, nor did they kill unnecessarily. They demonstrated control, discipline, and power. One day, a small Orion scout ship approached a human border station, hoping to test defenses. The humans allowed it to come closer. When the scout attempted to transmit a message, it was intercepted instantly. Automated defenses activated, surrounding the ship with invisible force fields. Its engines failed, and it floated helplessly in orbit. A calm message arrived through their systems. "You entered human space. You have been recorded. Return to your empire and warn others." Humanity watches. The crew of the scout ship panicked. They had no choice but to retreat, and the experience left them trembling. They had seen nothing, yet they knew humans were watching, waiting, and capable of overwhelming force at any moment. Back on the flagship, Ryland received updates from every sector. Ancient stations had been restored. Old weapons networks were operational. The humans had created a silent web of power spanning hundreds of light years. This web allowed them to strike, observe, and control space without revealing their full strength. "Every empire that tests us learns the same lesson," Ryland said quietly. "Every fleet that enters our space suffers consequences, and every species will think twice before challenging us again." Kira smiled faintly. They already are. I've seen reports. Entire fleets are changing course. Trade routes are being avoided. Diplomats are begging to negotiate before it's too late. Ryland nodded. Let them beg. Let them fear. Let them understand that humans do not bluff. We are not reckless. We are patient. And patience is more dangerous than anger. The galaxy had changed. Fear of humanity spread quietly, silently, like a shadow that touched every star. For centuries, humans had been forgotten, underestimated, and dismissed. Now, their return was undeniable. Their reputation alone could alter the actions of entire fleets, entire empires, across human space. Dreadnoughts drifted in orbit, satellites scanned distant stars, and hidden fleets moved silently. Every observation, every calculation, every strike was part of a larger plan. Humanity was not seeking conquest, yet they were preparing, teaching, and reshaping the galaxy through fear and precision. Ryland looked out at the stars, thinking of what was to come. We have reminded the galaxy who we are, he said. We have reminded them of the cost of arrogance. Now, we wait, and let the shadow of humanity grow. The stars were quiet, but the galaxy knew. The humans had returned. They were patient, deadly, and silent, and the fear they inspired would reach every corner of space. Long before humans ever fired a single shot, the galaxy had learned to fear human space. But fear alone was not enough. Some empires began testing limits, sending fleets to gather intelligence, or quietly occupying systems humans had reclaimed. They believed that patience and caution could outsmart humanity. They were wrong. Commander Ryland stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching a holographic map filled with alien movements. Every fleet, every convoy, every scout ship was being tracked. Humans had eyes everywhere, hidden stations, automated drones, ancient sensors long thought lost. The galaxy thought it was invisible. It was not. Humanity saw everything. Lieutenant Kira pointed at a blinking light on the map. Commander, a coalition fleet from 3 empires is moving toward the Beltrex system. They plan to test our defenses. Ryland nodded slowly. Then they will learn why humans do not allow mistakes to go unpunished. The Beltrex system was strategically important. It was close to the border, but far enough to make alien empires confident. They believed they could move in, establish control, and test humanity's limits. But as the coalition fleet entered the system, they discovered something unexpected. Hidden among asteroid fields and ancient debris were human strike craft, cloaked and silent. Sensors tracked every movement of the enemy's ships. Missiles were intercepted before launch. Communication signals were jammed. The humans did not attack immediately, they waited. Ryland activated the first wave. Micro-drones swarmed the coalition fleet, disabling engines, sensors, and shields without killing a single pilot. Panic spread. Officers scrambled to regain control, but every move had already been anticipated. Then, human dreadnoughts emerged from hidden positions, moving with calm precision. Energy cannons struck the heart of the fleet, destroying key cruisers and disabling carriers. Ships that tried to retreat were trapped, caught in invisible fields, or neutralized by automated systems. Within hours, the coalition fleet was crippled. On the bridge, Ryland's convoy spoke to every human vessel in the system. Every empire must understand. This is human space. Every mistake is remembered. Every arrogance is punished. Return to your systems and warn others. The surviving alien commanders could only comply. Their fleets retreated, broken and terrified. News of the attack spread faster than the fleet could move. Across the galaxy, empires began to reconsider every move. Humanity was no longer a legend, they were reality. Back at the flagship, Ryland reviewed reports from other sectors. Ancient stations had been reactivated. Weapons networks were online. Hidden shipyards produced new strike craft, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Humanity was not just defending, they were preparing for the galaxy's arrogance to reach them again. Lieutenant Kira approached. Commander, some empires are now sending diplomats instead of fleets. They wish to negotiate before it's too late. Ryland shook his head. Negotiation comes after respect is earned. First, they must understand the cost of crossing the line. Once they do, only then can we speak. Even as humans struck in secret, their influence grew. Trade routes were avoided. Fleets changed course. Alliances formed in fear of provoking humanity. Entire regions of space became quiet, not because humans occupied them, but because the shadow of their presence loomed. The galaxy was learning that humans were patient, calculating, and relentless. Every strike, every observation, Every act of defense reinforced the same lesson: humans do not tolerate mistakes. Humans do not negotiate with arrogance. Humans do not forget. In the Beltrax system, the few remaining coalition ships recorded a single message, transmitted to every corner of the galaxy: you have entered human space. You have tested our patience. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not negotiate. Remember this. Learn from it. Rylan watched the stars from the bridge. This is only the beginning, he said softly. The galaxy will learn patience. On our terms, Kira nodded. And they will remember humanity forever. Rylan turned to the holographic display. It showed alien fleets, hidden stations, and trade routes, all carefully observed, all carefully controlled. We are not conquerors, he said. We are guardians. But guardians are deadly when crossed. The stars were quiet, but human fleets were everywhere. Hidden, watching, calculating. The galaxy had learned the first lesson. Humanity is back. Humanity strikes when needed. Humanity remembers. And the full cost of crossing the line was yet to be revealed. The galaxy had learned to fear humans. Fleets avoided human space. Diplomats spoke with caution. Entire empires had changed their strategies because of a species they once believed extinct. But some still dared to test the limits, driven by pride, greed, or ignorance. A coalition fleet from 3 major empires had quietly gathered in the outer sectors, believing they could finally challenge humanity. They had studied the attacks in Beltrax, the stories of dreadnoughts appearing from nowhere, and the silent disappearance of scouts. But arrogance whispered that humanity could be outsmarted. Commander Rylan watched the approaching fleet from the bridge of the flagship. His calm expression betrayed nothing, but his mind calculated every possibility. Every movement of the enemy was visible to him, every strategy anticipated. Humanity had waited centuries for this moment, not for revenge, but to protect itself and ensure no empire ever underestimated them again. Lieutenant Kira approached. Commander, they are entering the boundary. Their fleet is massive. They believe numbers will protect them. Rylan nodded. Numbers do not protect fools who forget the line. As the coalition fleet moved deeper, human sensors recorded their every step. Hidden stations activated. Cloaked dreadnoughts and strike craft surrounded the intruders without their knowledge. Automated drones disabled engines and weapons silently. Panic spread among alien officers who suddenly realized the enormity of the human response. Then the dreadnoughts appeared. From the shadows, massive ships emerged like silent predators. Their hulls reflected the distant starlight, engines glowing with precise energy. Humans had not fired yet. They did not need to. The sheer presence of the fleet froze the coalition in fear. Rylan activated the communication systems. His voice echoed across every ship in the enemy fleet, calm, measured, and terrifying. You have entered human space. You have ignored the warnings. You have crossed the line. The fleet commander panicked. We can retreat. We can negotiate. A human officer replied calmly, retreat now, and perhaps you survive. Fight, and you will not. The choice was yours the moment you entered this space. Then the strike began. Human dreadnoughts fired precise energy beams. Cruisers exploded, carriers shattered, and fighters were disabled before they could react. Within minutes, the coalition fleet was crippled. The surviving ships attempted to flee, only to find themselves trapped in invisible fields and targeted by automated defenses. The battle was over almost before it began. No human ship had suffered significant damage. Every strike had been calculated. Every move had been anticipated. The galaxy watched in disbelief as fleets vanished, leaving nothing but debris behind. Rylan stood on the bridge, watching the remnants of the coalition drift away. The message must be clear, he said quietly. Arrogance has a price. Every empire that underestimates humanity will pay it. Lieutenant Kira looked at him. They will never challenge us again. Rylan nodded. Not because they want to obey, because they remember the cost. That is the most effective lesson of all. Across the galaxy, systems once confident in their power now trembled. Fleets withdrew from borders. Trade routes were rerouted. Diplomats sent urgent messages, begging for peace. The stories of human dreadnoughts, hidden fleets, and silent strikes became legend true. Terrifying legend. Even the Varkan Dominion, scarred from the first strike, sent messages to other empires, warning them. Humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. Do not enter their space. Rylan activated a final long-range transmission, sent to every known empire, every fleet, and every system. His voice echoed calmly, clearly, across the galaxy. You have seen the cost of arrogance. You have seen the consequences of crossing the line. Humanity is awake. Humanity watches. Learn respect or suffer the same fate. This is not a threat. This is a fact. You are warned. The galaxy was silent. For the first time in centuries, every species understood the truth. Humans were not gone. Humans were not weak. Humans were a force unlike any other, patient, precise, and unstoppable. Rylan looked out at the stars. The dreadnoughts floated silently in orbit, stations hummed with power, and the hidden fleets waited. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors, but as guardians of their space. Yet the galaxy would never dare ignore them again. The line has been drawn, Rylan whispered, and no one will forget the price of crossing it. In that silence, the stars seemed different. The galaxy had learned fear, respect, and the truth of humanity's power. From that moment, no empire would ever treat humans as extinct, weak, or foolish. The shadow of humanity had returned, and it would stretch across the stars forever. And in that shadow, the galaxy understood the ultimate lesson: arrogance carries a price. The price is total. The price is survival itself. Humanity had returned. The galaxy had paid attention. And now, every species knew never again would anyone dare cross the line.